In today's Microsoft Flight Sim video, I talk about a new AI traffic solution from JustFlight, the 737 by PMDG, and the SR71 by MilViz. Let's get right into it, but before we do that, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. It really helps me, pushes me on making this Microsoft Flight Sim content. Now let's get right into the news. So we'll start off with what the majority of you would have clicked on this video for. We are all eagerly awaiting the 737, so it's nice to say that we've got a few more screenshots taking a look at some awesome progress regarding this aircraft. As you can see from the cockpit screenshot on the video, it looks absolutely incredible. This comes from a forum post that Robert Radazzo put on the PMDG forum, funnily enough, with a Christmas poem. Now I'm not going to read out the poem, and yes, you can see why Robert sticks to aircraft development and not poetry. Nonetheless, it's quite a nice Christmas poem talking about this aircraft. But let's see what he says about the actual aircraft. So this development update was released on Christmas Eve, 24th of December, and he says a big bold reminder that these are still in development images and we're about a week out of date from where they are now. Nonetheless, they look incredible. It's really nice to see the aircraft progressing on. The lighting, in my opinion, is already starting to look exceptional. Something I do note is the textures on the windscreen. That to me points over to that part of the aircraft being ported over from a previous simulator, which would make entire sense, seeing as they may not have worked on that bit yet, but you know what I mean. You can kind of see those textures. It reminds me of something we'd see on Flight Sim X when they try and make the windscreen look a bit more authentic, but those aircraft were made in 2009. So just ignoring that and looking down from there, you can see the bright array of lights looking really incredible. I love the kind of light bleed around the MCP panel as well. In terms of all the autopilot displays, that looks really good. Quite nicely, he says he had the opportunity to sit in a 737 jump seat a few times, and he says that this reflects how the aircraft looks in real life in terms of lighting. So I mean, you kind of got to take his word for it if he's flown in one. Moving on to the second screenshot, which provides us a more comprehensive look of the throttle quadrant and FMC area. You can see the backlighting here, which is kind of the target of this screenshot, is looking quite nice. While I wouldn't say it's perfect yet, of course we want to see a bit of light bleed, in my opinion, to make it a bit more realistic. I think it's coming on nicely. He says at the bottom of the screenshot, just under it, that they are currently working on implementing the various load states that are basically in Microsoft Flight Sim. So for example, when you start up on the runway, you're ready for takeoff, but when you start up on the ramp, normally it's cold and dark. When you start up in the air, the aircraft's set up to fly, as you'd hope and as you'd want, I guess. You get what I mean? They're working on that now. That's significant, not only because of what it does, but because it suggests they're at a stage where it's fairly near to completion. Now the release date has been pushed back, or should I say the release date has been removed, because we don't actually have a kind of time anymore. A few updates ago we did at kind of the start of 2022, and even before that there were rumours that it would be coming out before Christmas, but of course that's not the case now. But if they're working on presets of getting the aircraft ready to fly, and from the screenshots they show it looks pretty well done already, then I really don't think we're far off from this aircraft being released. It wouldn't surprise me if we get it kind of mid-2022. I think that's a pretty realistic date. They do say it'll be coming to PC and Xbox, which will mean it's available via the Microsoft Flight Sim Marketplace. There's a lot to be excited about, and PMDG just keep providing. It is incredibly exciting. Let's move on. So this kind of caught me out by surprise. JustFlight announced on their Facebook page a new product they're working on by the name of FS Traffic Microsoft Flight Sim. Now JustFlight historically have worked on this add-on called Traffic Global. I'm playing the X-Plane 11 trailer in the background. Now to give you some background before I talk about the Microsoft Flight Sim version of this mod, Traffic Global on X-Plane comes with over 100 different aircraft types, nearly 1.5 1,000 liveries with over 600,000 flights, i.e. flight plans matching real world routes. That's the X-Plane version. I believe they also had one for Flight Sim X and P3D. They're also working on something similar for Microsoft Flight Sim, which is what I'm going to be talking about now. Now, to quote JustFlight, they say, in line with previous versions of Traffic, FS Traffic will add a range of high quality AI aircraft in a wide variety of liveries. The aircraft will populate the airports and airways of Microsoft Flight Simulator following patterns based on real world commercial passenger schedules, and the result will be a massively more immersive airport environment. In addition to the extensive range of liveries and flights in the base package, users will be able to add their customized liveries, which I believe also includes plans to the program. Now, most of that there was quoted directly from the Facebook page. To sum it up, basically it imports or injects real world traffic into Microsoft Flight Sim based off real world aircraft, real world liveries and real world routes. You'll also have a level of customization in there, which means you can kind of put your own aircraft in there. I think it's very exciting. From the screenshots they provide, you can see for the most part, well, actually, as far as I can see, all of them are kind of Airbus A320s. To me, the fact that these are all Airbus A320s, as far as I can see, suggests that they're either hiding all the other aircraft they've got, or they haven't worked on them yet. Once again, it is an announcement, but they do say that we should see this in early 2022. That doesn't mean directly on January the 1st, but in the first few months, so not too far away, one would hope. If I go into the comments, it confirms my suspicions, and JustFlight replies to the guy that goes only Airbus A320, winky emoji. He goes, early screenshots, other models are being developed and painted as we speak. More pictures are coming soon. We haven't got any yet, but it is Christmas, so we'll let it slide. We also get a bit more information about what sort of program will be offered. They say it will be more like a traditional traffic program, and it will not go in line with online AI live traffic, i.e. you know how Microsoft Flight Sim's got that live traffic option. This won't work with it. Instead, it will be based around the offline traffic mode. In my opinion, it doesn't change anything in that case, because live traffic is temperamental and half the time doesn't show up the correct aircraft. So the fact JustFlight aren't using it, I don't really blame them, and I don't think it draws away from the experience too much. If it's going off real world routes, then they're going to vaguely match up to what's flying above you anyway. Regardless, it's something to get a bit more excited for. I think the market for AI traffic is getting quite saturated now. Not necessarily a bad or good thing. It means that competition increases, pushing developers on. It's basics of business. Nonetheless, something I'm sure a lot of you care about. Now finally, we've got a few interesting screenshots from the MilViz team with their SR71. This was shared on their Facebook page, and it's the SR71 sitting in its hangar at Beale Air Force Base, seeing as it's the 57th anniversary of the SR71, and in fact, at the time of filming, I'm going to see one at a museum tomorrow. Quite excited for that. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. The detail so far, from the rivets to the landing gear, it looks pretty good. Of course, these screenshots they show, there's not too much to talk about, but the textures, I have to say, are quite exceptional. If you look in the hangar as well, you'll notice some fuel leaking on the floor. Not necessarily a good thing, but it does happen in real life. And if I go into the comments, someone picks up on it, and they say that they're actually playing around with this effect. That is quite impressive. Whether or not that's incorporated with the aircraft, or they're offering some sort of scenery package as well, I hope it's the first one. If they can manage to make an aircraft have an effect on the external environment somehow, then it would blow me away. Now, a lot of things with this aircraft are quite secret, so basically they can try as hard as they want, but they're never going to get it spot on. But from what I'm seeing, it's looking very good. It's not necessarily an aircraft. I can imagine myself using all of the time a Microsoft Flight Sim. It's not your run-of-the-mill Cessna 152 or 737, but it's certainly going to be interesting, and it's going to push the flight model to its limits, how fast this bad boy could go. But nonetheless, I hope MilViz keep it up. They are producing a lot of screenshots and teasers and releasing not as much as they're making, basically. That's either a good or bad thing, depending on where you sit on that. I personally think it's a good thing because they're putting the time and effort in. They're not rushing it out like other teams have been. But nonetheless, there we go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed all the news. A lot to dig your teeth into this week. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're having a good Christmas. From me today, that is all. Last thing I want to do is thank my channel members. Thank you to Simon Schmidt, Sifler, Ethan Bubeck, Jonathan Desmond, Captain Matt Russell, Jesse Wiseman, Fanny Leibenberg, Hello, and Owen K. You guys really do help me out. Channel members let you stand out in the comments, and a lot of other perks such as this shout out. But of course, you just watching this video is always enough. I'll see you around, guys. Bye bye.